Hello FCS student. Today we're going to learn how to use a program called Notepad++ to create HTML code directly and create web pages. This is going to be a very basic requirement for what we'll need. So what I'm asking you to do is start out on your computer at school, and when you log in, you go to your My Documents folder, and you should have a folder called FCS for Foundations Computer Science. Now, of course, I'm doing this at home, so my folder is a little bit different than what you'd have at school. But you would make a new folder if you haven't already done this. Make a new folder and call it Web Projects. Now, again, you may have something already similar to this, and that's fine. And inside Web Projects, I'm asking that you make a new folder called Practice. And what we're going to do is we're going to make your first HTML file in this folder, because what web pages are, they're just simple files that are viewed and interpreted by the browser. So what we're going to do is we're going to open a program called Notepad++. Now, I'm doing this video on my home computer, so I can't show you how to open that. But what you should be able to do is simply click on the Start button or the Windows button and type Notepad++, Notepad++, and it should open this application. And we're going to do a new file. Now, this file is going to be an HTML file, so we can tell Notepad++ right out the gate that it's going to be an HTML. If we go to Language HTML, that will automatically tell it this is an HTML file. It's probably also a good idea to go ahead and save this guy, even though there's nothing in it. We're going to go ahead and save it as, and I'm going to go into that folder I just made called Web Projects Practice, and let's just call this first page. And now it's really important that with file naming, you don't use spaces. Spaces are the devil. They're bad. Don't use them. So we're going to use a capital F, first page, and we're going to type .html, stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So the name of this file is first page dot, it's kind of hard to see this, I realize, .html, and it's in the practice folder inside Web Projects in your FCS folder. So I'm going to click Save, and now we can start to type some code. So you may have already learned some of this, and if that's okay, if you have, it's a little bit of review. So we're going to just start typing up code, and then we'll hopefully learn why we are typing what we're typing. So we're going to type a left bracket, or you probably know it from math classes, the less than sign. I refer to this as the left chevron. So it's the less than sign right next to M on your keyboard. M as in Mary on your keyboard, and you need to hit Shift to get that left bracket. So we're going to type left bracket, exclamation point, doc type, for documentation type, space, HTML. And what this does, this tells the browser what version of HTML to use, and it's going to use the latest version, HTML5. So I'm going to go down to the next line. Again, left chevron, HTML, which I'm telling it by saying this, I'm going to say, hey, this is an HTML document. Everything after this is HTML code. And I'm going to add an attribute called lang, which just kinds of confirms that this is going to be using English. We don't really need this, but it's a good best practice. And I'm going to automatically go down 2 lines, and I'm going to type left chevron / HTML right chevron. So this is where all the HTML code is going to go, from here down to right inside there. This is the opening of the tag, and then this is the closing of the HTML tag. So inside this guy, I'm going to go down 1, and I'm going to tab in. I'm hitting the tab key when I do this. I'm hitting the tab key. Left chevron head. And head is basically just like you and I have a head. It's where all the information is stored about the file. tells the browser how to use the file. And like most tags, every time we open a tag, we close a tag. So I'm going to close head. And I'm going back up inside head. I'm tabbing in. I'm hitting the tab key. Now, do we have to tab in? No, but you need to get in the practice of doing this because you're trying to keep Mr. Cell happy. I'm the one grading your projects, so I'm an old guy and I need to be able to see that everything is inside other tags. So this is what is inside head, and that is inside HTML. So inside head, I'm going to add a tag called title. And you'll learn what this is about. This is basically what displays in the display bar or display tab at the top of your page. And I'm just going to say my first web page. Now this we can use spacing. This is content. This is actually what is going to be used to display. And I'm going to close this tag with a right chevron. Now I'm pretty much done with head for now. We're going to add some other stuff down the road. And then we're going to add another tag. I'm going down 2 levels, and this tag is at the same level as HTML, and it's called body. So, excuse me, not HTML, head. So head and body are both at the same level of importance. So every time we open a tag, we close a tag. So I'm going to close body. And inside body, so you can see here the body and head are at the same level. So they're kind of brother-sister, so they're at the same level inside HTML. So they're kind of like siblings to each other, at the same level of importance. Inside body, I'm going to add an H1. This is a 1, not a L. It's an H1. And this is a heading. This is a level of importance. This is the most important heading. And in here I'm going to say my first web page. And then I'm going to close H1. It's not an L, it's H1. So after that, I'm going to go down 1 level, and I'm going to add a paragraph tag, the P tag, and this is going to be a paragraph. So I'm going to say something, I'm just going to add some generic content and say this is a paragraph. And I'm going to close paragraph. So every time you open a tag, you close a tag. That's the close guy, /. / is on your keyboard. It's actually really close to the M key. It's also near enter on the right hand side of your keyboard. Okay, we're going to do one more thing with this, and we're going to add an unordered list. So I'm going to add an unordered list. Unordered list is kind of like when your mom sends you to the grocery store and says, I want you to buy these items. So UL is the abbreviation for unordered list. And I'm going to add an unordered list. And I'm going to close my unordered list. But inside my unordered list, I'm going to add list items, LI. So these are list items, LI. And I'm just going to say this is item number 1. I'm going to close LI. So I can continue to add list items underneath, in between my UL. Notice that UL is at the same level as paragraph, which is the same level as H1. So H1, paragraph, and UL are brother and sister to each other. They're at the same level. And I did that by hitting the tab key. I tabbed in. You can even see in Notepad++, it's kind of showing you how you indented or tabbed in. This is really, really important that you get in the habit of doing this because visually, we as human beings can see how to do this. Alright, so one more thing I want to show you to do. This is a comment in HTML. You should know what comments are from scratch, but these are comments. So to do a comment, we type a left chevron. I'm doing this right underneath doc type. Left chevron, exclamation point, 2 dashes. And I'm going to add my name, the date, the file name, and briefly, what the file does. So in this case, what you could say is your name, and then the date, and then the file name, and then briefly what the file does. What does this file do? You can say, well, this is my first web page using P, H1, and unordered list. That's fine. Right, so that's a little bit about what you'll need for your web pages. There's one more tag I'd like to add to the head tag, and that's called the meta tag. And this is metadata. We'll learn about metadata. And this is not really a necessity, but we're adding this, and this will hopefully make sense what this does down the road, but not really a necessity tag that we have. This tag is a little bit different. The meta tag is it's information about how the file works. Not a necessity thing, but it will help when we go to validate our code and make sure it's working right. So the meta tag has an attribute called character set to UTF-8. And notice that it has a / right at the end of it. So there is no closing tag for this guy. Alright, so that's pretty much what we're going to use to get started with this. Again, just make sure that for most of these tags, except for meta tag, we have a closing tag for all these. So list items close, UL closes, body closes, HTML closes. Notice the very last tag at the bottom of our file is HTML, and everything is inside there. And then this is what's inside the UL, this is inside the body, and this is inside head. So hopefully that will be enough to get us started, and you're going to have a project that will be using these tags.